No, he didn't. He played... Oh, buddy. Why? That is a bit of a meh. That is a bit of a meh move. Hello to the chicas. Hello to the chicas. Today is round 2 recap time from the Texas State Championship, and our friend Nelson is a little bit out of the recording. It's not my cut. Yeah, there is a handshake. There is Nelson, and there is the kickoff with 1e4. I did tell you yesterday that I regretted the fact that I looked up the game before I started the commentary. This time round, I am completely in the dark. I have no idea what's cooking. The only thing I know is that the video is noticeably shorter than the previous one was, so I'm hoping for a quick victory for Nelson, whose opponent is Maurya Chandra, another very Indian sounding name. Indeed, I believe that his previous opponent was also of Indian origin or heritage. Slow the heck down, boys. Wait, I'm still introing and you're blitzing out like mad. Okay, I'll pause the video. I didn't think I would ever do that, but I paused the video. So this is what kicked off here. Nelson started off with a anti-Sicilian. This can still be a lot of things. It can be a Grand Prix. It can be some deferred Rossolimo, which is exactly what happened here. We played bishop b5, knight d4, and knight f3. Now, this is a typical way to play where white prioritizes development over everything else, and everything else includes giving up the bishop pair. But now, yeah, black needs to be very, very careful, because many a time white's lead in development is going to be tremendous. Very often in these variations you see that white plays d4 and then they retake with the queen and not with the knight like in open Sicilians, in order to accelerate the development of the queen side. And then after developing the bishop, often we castle queen side once again, adding yet another layer to that lead in development. Yesterday we already discussed Morphy, and now he comes back to us in the shape of rapid development and queenside castling and all that jazz. So yeah, very excited for Nelson to strike back after a very unfortunate, I would even go as far as saying undeserved defeat. Yeah, okay, so d6 played, d4 played, regular stuff, a6. And we are coming back home. Note that Nelson did not blunder the knight to this check, because of course then the knight jumps back to blockade that check. Slow down, boys. Oh, queen d4. Told ya, this is how we take. This is better now because once again it's an extra piece, and since the knight is already missing from b8, we can't really take advantage of the early deployment of the queen. Now e5 is playable here, but it's a double-edged move because it creates a backward pawn, and it also offers an outpost for the white knight on d5. At this point, queen d3 is most sensible. We'll follow it up with bishop g5 when a knight pops on f6, and then we will ultimately conquer the weak d5 square. The alternative is the knight f6 move, against which again bishop g5 is to be expected, followed by queenside castles. e5 played, we're following theory here still, and I suspect Nelson to pull back to d3. Queen b4 is also some kind of weird theory, but now we need to be mindful of this idea of the queen occasionally hanging. Mind you, after queen b3, this is still quite unclear who is calling the shots here, because this is hanging, and this invites the knight into the center, which could also quite be troublesome for black. So both queen b4 and queen d3 are theoretically known positions, and I think Nelson is either trying to recall old prep or I don't know, maybe just trying to figure it out himself. Okay, Nelly, what's happening? Oh, he does go queen b4. This is the spicy one. This is definitely the spicy move. We are provoking d5. The upside of the move, by the way, if we just disregard the discovered attack on the queen, The upside is that the queen is monitoring the b6 square. So for example, after bishop e3, we can chuck a bishop on b6, or after knight d5, we can chuck in a horse to b6, utilizing these slightly weak light squares. After knight f6, you can still go bishop g5 as per planned, and this is always the safe haven for the queen, and this is always a big dilemma whether black is prepared to open up the position and begin a fight or not. Well, with one developed piece, you would think that this is ill-advised, and indeed I don't believe in it. And it looks like the opponent was caught somewhat off guard by queen b4. Yeah, if I were black, I would seriously consider here knight f6, and even knight e7, by the way, is a move with the idea of relocating the knight on c6. So, for example, knight e7, castles, knight c6, and queen b3 is some kind of a line that your engine would tell you is quite okay for black. But this is not a natural move to find. You very rarely would want to interpose with your bishop. Knight f6 is more natural, but it's far worse. Because now bishop g5 is very, very thematic. And after bishop e7, we take and we obtain, a lot of play. d6 pawn is on. The knight on d5 is incoming. And even though black has the bishop pair, this is one of the saddest bishop pair I have ever seen. There is not a lot of joy to be had with having these bishops at all. So yeah, knight f6, this is one of those times when the most principled move is an inaccuracy. Ouchie. I have no doubt in my mind that Nelson is going to pin it with bishop g5, and we'll take it from there. Incidentally, every single other move by white is inferior, as in it leads to an inferior position for white. Because if I don't pin it right now, black can afford a cheeky pawn h6 to cut this pin out altogether. And then after bishop e7, castles, let's say queen e7, c7, and then bishop e6, eventually black will regain control of the d5 square. And in the long run, this tension between queen and bishop is definitely not tenable for white. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Good man, good man. And this, guys, is something that lower rated players should learn and try to emulate to the best of their ability. We are down to move 10. And our good friend Nelson has completed development to the full versus one piece out. These are the basics that even grandmasters insist on doing really, really well. And when you see a grandmaster beating someone who is out of their league, almost certainly you will find that the greatest difference between the two players is that the GM does the basics super well. It's not the complex stuff, it's the basics that they really, really carry out to perfection. Bishop e7 played, and Nelson doesn't hesitate to go in for bishop takes f6. I would say that this is pretty much a book victory here for white. We are already far, far ahead in this opening. And after bishop takes f6, I predict queenside castles, which, by the way, I did call it around move 3, so I feel like I really am channeling here my fortune teller powers. I did tell you the queen takes d4, I did tell you the castles, and I swear I did not look this game up before I started commentary, but oh boy, this is just so good chess by Nelson. This is the way to bounce back. Black is already in all kinds of hurt. All kinds of hurt. d6 is hanging, and the most natural way to defend the pawn is actually not playable due to knight takes e5. And when they take, we can take with a check. Note that this idea wouldn't work if black was already castled, by the way, so I will just play a lemon. Castles. If I do it now, then DE, and because of our queen is hanging, now black is winning a piece. But now, with knight e5, we are golden, because DE5 is well met by rook takes queen, and as good old Tony G likes to say, on your bike, friend, the game is over. On your bike. So yeah, I don't know what our young friend is going to play after Queensland Castles, but he's already done and dusted. Right, so young feller castled. I misjudged the situation. Giving up d6. And I think he's gonna play here a5. Which is quite a cheeky move, by the way. The idea being that if I take, then take, and now the knight has to go, a2 drops, and lo and behold, black has got serious counterplay. Of course, white should not entertain the idea of allowing this capture. Instead, queen b6, queen a3, even queen c5 look logical moves. Yeah, a5 played, and it's either or. I mean, I can pull back here too, but it's a bit passive. Yeah, queen b6 is a very nice endgame. Queen c5 is also fine. Mind you, it's almost forcing this variation. And now the bishop is well placed here. Although e5 is also dropping. So take. Rook f1, bishop e3. Note that otherwise f7 would have been hanging. And after king b1, f6, white is up a pawn. But this still requires some technique because the two bishops will pose some technical difficulties. So probably queen c5 is my least favorite move in the position. Yeah, queen b6 or queen a3. Yeah, queen a3. Excellent choice. Very well played. Very well played. The big difference between this queen move and this queen move is that if I repeat the same idea for black, then when bishop a3 happens and I take the rook, now the bishop has to take back since it's hanging. That was the big difference between bishop on c5 and a3. That when the bishop was here, I could retake this with the king. But now I'm forced to take with bish, and then after knight e5, black is 72 pawns down, and the game is utterly and hopelessly over. So that means that bishop e7 is not an option, which leaves us with bishop g5 or queen moves. Now queen c7 walks into knight d5, not playable. Queen e8, knight d5 also looks absolutely horrendous. And bishop d7... Rook d1 or knight d5, either or, and we are completely winning. Wow. This game was definitely a big turnaround from yesterday's struggles. Cool bananas. Yeah, queen e8 played. Black's misery doesn't end. In fact, it increases. Yeah, it's a total no-brainer to play knight d5 here. Nothing else is seriously to be considered. Note that knight on d5 attacks f6, as well as covering the bishop e7 shenanigans. In fact, it is a quite possible scenario that the opponent is going to play bishop e7 here, hoping that Nelson would take. Nuh-uh. We have got a fork here, friends. And now black is forced to take, and when we take back, it turns out that we either are going to win a full rook, or black is forced to play queen d7, allowing the trade of the queens in order to facilitate the retake. But again, we are up again exactly by 72 pawns, just like before, and this is as good as resignable. But I have a very strong feeling that this is where the game is headed. Knight d5, bishop e7. Yep, knight d5 has landed. And the opponent opts to be anywhere else literally in the tournament hall except at his chair, because that's the least attractive place to be currently in the entire building. Ha! Gotcha! Bishop e7, and Nelson is going to take about 5 minutes here, and he's going to play knight c7. So we are on 127. Let's see if my prediction is correct. Nah, he smashed it out in a minute and a half. Very strong play by Nelson. Very strong play. Unless something untoward happens, I think not only is he going to score a super easy victory, but he's also going to have a very high accuracy score in this game. Now note that bishop takes d6 here, while it might appear to be forced, actually is not the only move. Queen d7, as crazy and cuckoo as it looks, is playable. And then we're forced to take it. And then bishop takes a3, and now our rook is hanging. So we need to come back somewhere or other. And then, well, we're going to win a piece, so never mind. Yeah, okay. Now, it's complete carnage. They are going to take d6. We are going to take it back. And they will play queen d7. No. They are going to play queen a4. Guaranteed. And I tell you why. Because that is the only move that gives you some kind of hope to stir the pot. Guaranteed. 100%. Queen a4. Because then once you take the rook, they can take a2. And then they are hoping that there is a check here and then stuff will happen. Stuff will not happen because we have got queen a3. But this is guaranteed. I'm betting my daughter's car that queen a4 is coming. Ah, thank God. No loss of a car. The vehicle is safe. Queen a4 played. Indeed, Nelson is gonna take a8. And maybe he's not gonna take a2 because then queen a3. Or maybe he is and then... Whoopsie daisy. That is a mouse slippery 1.5. That's why I always want to play over the board chess. There's no mouse slips there. So, takes queen a3, queen c4. Rook e1. And black resigns. This could be a potential finish. Yep, knight a8 played. Pawn has been obtained in the right hand to twist and turn. Just like Boris Galfin, that is, in case you missed yesterday's video. And queen a3, 100%. I'm betting my daughter's house on queen a3. That shuts down the check and offers a very much unwanted queen trade from black's perspective. Yep, once again I managed to save the goods. Queen c4. Nothing really to think about. Queen e6 is too passive. Queen a3 is out of the question. So yeah, queen c4 is the likely way to go. What is very impressive, by the way, about this game, amongst many other things, including the fact that, as I said, Nelson is playing a flawless game, is that he has used so far 4 minutes on the clock. But everything has been so simple and logical and easy that as a coach, I've got nothing untoward to say about that. He's in the zone. And I guess that he's going to play rook e1 reasonably quickly too, because why wouldn't you? Okay, he went knight d2. This is the first move that I don't really like. Well, I would rephrase that. I preferred rook e1. If you guys watched yesterday's video, you already know that I am chronically ill every time I have to move a piece backwards. And if I can develop a different dude instead, I'm doing that. Sign me up any day of the year. But that being said, there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with knight d2. It is totally fine. The queen is being kicked out. The knight reroutes, and opponent is gonna call it quits. Queen e2 played after all, and our good friend Nelson is going to slide the lady across. Let's have a bit of an afternoon tea where the ladies get together on the e-file. I mean, he had to see queen e3 when he calculated knight d2. There is no doubt in my mind. Not that that's the only move. Rook f1 is also playable, but then queen e3. Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's no point in playing rook f1 because after rook d8 we're forced to play queen e3. So we might as well go queen e3. Now you might ask why not f3, and I don't even have an answer for you, other than it just felt a bit more natural to put it here, because now I'm controlling diagonals both directions, whereas if I go to f3, then my queen has been completely cut off from controlling any of this part of the board. And since I want to evac the knight, it just feels better and safer to have the queen on this particular square. Our opponent is not going to accept the queen trade. My guesstimation is going to be queen b5. Doesn't matter where you go, you are going to walk into this with a tempo. Yep, queen b5 played. Knight c7 is coming by Nelson. Now if queen a4, then funnily enough we're going to recreate the earlier scene scenario with queen a3 for the second time. Are you saying everything twice? Everything twice? Yes sir, yes sir. That would be quite funny actually. Yeah, knight c7 played. Queen a4 played. Awesome. Now I would like to highlight to you the fact that having put the knight on d2, technically we are not required to attend to this threat, because it no longer is a threat. I can just play knight d5 and allow it to come down and then play knight a3, because now I'm actually threatening to trap it in and force the trade. So that is also a possibility, but once again, queen a3, repeating the same story that we already once said, is quite appealing. What I particularly like about queen a3 is that if the queen goes back after knight d5, now we have got this really filthy check pending, and here there is a temptation to do something like queen e6, when once again this motif that I tried to highlight earlier finally can come to the fore, and white can win a further exchange, thus extending the material lead to a full rock. Win the rock! The rock, said a less famous YouTuber than Mr. Chess Vibes. Yep, queen a3 played. As expected. Where is the queen going, young fella? c6, d7 or d4? Queen d4! Okay. Okay. Now knight d5 is a very cheeky threat, because this idea is definitely on. I really, really hope that this is how the game ends, that the dude takes f2. Oh! Oh, this would be tragic. Okay, so this is what I spotted. From f2, I'm covering the rook. So now after here, this would not be good, because fg and it's guarded. But that's not the end of the story. This is, by the way, how tactical mind and calculation works together in a chess player's head. So I immediately noticed that something was amiss, and my brain went immediate excitement mode, and I noticed that the tactic still works. I just need to throw in rook f1, kicking the queen, and doesn't matter where the queen goes. Now we have got check and check again, since now the rook is again capturable. So, conclusion, we can actually invite queen f2, and I really hope that this is how the game ends. This would be absolutely fabulous. A very, very neat tactic in the end to walk away with the dub. No. Nope. Nelson goes queen g3. Nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong with this move. Yeah, I mean, look, we are up a piece. Every chess move that doesn't lose a piece is winning for us. I'm trying to find a reason why he favored this over knight d5. And quite frankly, I can't think of one. I'm sure that he has seen the tactic of knight e7, knight g6. So there's no moves like this, because check, check, check wins the rook, right? And so black is very, very limited in responses. It's g6, rook here, or king... Oh, never mind. It's g6 or rook here. Whereas after queen g3, now black has a greater range of moves available at their disposal. None of them are going to meaningfully change the outcome of the game. But, yeah, at least they have got a greater pick. Okay, rook d8 played. So now again, knight d5 comes to mind as the most natural way to deal with the threat on d2. Yeah, I wish we had played knight d5 instead of queen g3. Yep, knight d5. So now I question queen g3. Like, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer and a negative Nancy, but knight d5 first would have been a different story. For example, if we had started with knight d5, then after rook d8, we definitely don't go queen g3, right? I can take this pawn and hit the rook, or I can go in on e7 and be an absolute pest. So that alone justifies that knight d5 was the more accurate way rather than queen g3. But yeah, again, I'm splitting hairs here because we are up a piece, and as a result of that, the game is in the bag already, no matter what. Bishop e6 played. Wait, so we went queen g3, rook d8, knight d5, bishop e6, correct? Yeah. Oh, wait, I missed the move. Wait, let's go back, what? Oh, Nelson played c4. I couldn't see it because the queen was covering the way. Right, okay, so now we are fortifying the knight on d5. This kind of move would immediately trigger in me to play b5. Just to blast it open, because for black it doesn't matter, you're all in, right? Like it doesn't make any difference whether we lose 17 more pawns or not. But if I can open up the c file against the king, at least I feel like now I'm stirring the pot a little. Take. Now this is on. I may be able to come in here. Yeah, this didn't feel like the best way to convert, but I guess it will do. Capture took place. Definitely not the move that needed to be played. Black should refrain from the trades. b5, definitely b5. Try to stir the pot, create problems, ask questions. Try to open up the file, exploit the weak king. Bishop d5 is helping us. Tak, and then now he played b5. This should have been done the other way. Now we might have queen e3. We might even have rook e1. With the idea that if they take this, then we can take that. And then there is a back rank mate pending. So it's either queen e3 or rook e1. Yeah, queen e3. Okay. So the idea here again is to try to eliminate the queens. Because after take, this is a super basic victory. And so the opponent, of course, dodges. Now we can take e5. Which would of course mean that we lose g2, but then again after rook e1, back rank mate is on, and finally we can start nursing the d-pawn. Looks like a very promising scenario. Plan B, we can play queen e4, offer a queen trade, protect the pawn. This looks noticeably more natural, so this is what I would expect. Yep, queen e4 coming, very good, and now our opponent is going to slide all the way back to c8 to dodge the trade, but also to recreate the pin. At which point, again, we have got multiple choices. The cheeky one is king b1, letting the pawn go, but then immediately go after it. Oh, he went queen g5. Thank God I didn't bet on this one. So he is now creating this pin. But this is not gonna last too long because I have h4, right? And then the queen is forced to go home after all, and then I can take b5. If the queen goes to h6, then I can maybe rook e1 and take. Or take first even, and then rook e1. And that's quite awkward to stop the back rank mate. Oh! Nelson goes, hello buddy, double connected passes. I accept your resignation. I don't even know why I didn't think about this. This is definitely cleanest. I prefer this to anything I said. 100%. Absolutely, definitely, I prefer that move. Shout out to Nelson for being a good chess player. f5, blundering the pawn. Nelson capturing the pawn. Now opponent is taking here. The reason why they did it is because they were banking on this double attack. The problem is that Nelson has the in-between queen e6 check, which means that when we slide the rook to e1, the d5 pawn is immune to capture because of the back rank business. Now, it's not mate if I go here, because then the queen can block in the end, but it certainly is a mate if I take and then I go in. So, yeah, queen e6 check is incoming. Mark my words. Yeah, he's looking at it. It's incoming. Watch it. Took. Check C. Opponent is nodding in acknowledgement that yes, I'm getting absolutely brutalized here. Plays king h8, and now Nelson slides the rook to e1, and this would be as good a time as any to throw in the towel. As you could tell, Nelson now is looking at the opponent. Going like, well, is it the right time to call it a day? Yes, sir. No, sir. Okay. Well. Oh, cute tactic incoming. Oh, watch this. Queen f5, queen d5 check. The puzzle rush tactic. Exploiting the fact that the rook is overloaded. It needs to defend the back rank as well as the queen. So now I have to take and the queen is gone. Oh, please, Nelson, take queen f5. And of course, rook takes is not possible on account of check. This is why tactics is always the #1 skill in chess, folks. No matter what stage of the game we are at, no matter the level, the best stuff is always to have as a skill is tactics and calculation. He's gonna take f5. I'm feeling it. No, he didn't. He played... Oh, buddy. Why? That is a bit of a meh. That is a bit of a meh move. Why are we not taking this, chief? Surely he didn't miss queen d5, rook e8. Okay. f3 played. I'm surprised by that one, but it's still totally fine. Queen f2. Now the target, of course, is the pawn, so I expect this to be pushed. And then queen c5 check, king b1. Yep, c6 played as per predicted. Yep, check is played as per predicted. King b1 played as per predicted. Yep. And opponent took on d5 with the rook. Now this allows again us to get cute with tactics. We can play c7 and the pawn can't be captured because the rook is gone. And against literally any other move, we just get a queen. So also winning is rook c1 with the idea of nursing the pawn home. But I really do hope that Nelson is going to go for the pretty move and play c7. It is the most effective too because it wins the rook immediately and still creates mate threats shortly after. Slam dunk c7 and here comes resignation. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Come on, buddy. Oh, gotcha. Masterpiece concluded by the perfect countdown. What a victory. An absolute masterpiece by our friend Nelson. A beautiful chess game. A marvelous opening prep that basically just... catapulted him into a completely winning position right out of the opening. And once he harvested that pawn and then the extra piece right after it, it was just a super clean mop-up, a marvelous victory, really impressive bounce back from the previous round's very unfortunate defeat. So now our hero Nelson is on 1 out of 2. And is looking to play round 3, more than likely behind the black pieces, and expecting a stronger opponent. So I'm very excited to see how that is going to shape up. So stay tuned, guys, as I'm going to bring you round 3 shortly. Please don't forget to sub, to like, to comment down below. Also, don't forget to visit my channel if you would like to have a look at my content. That's to be found at Chess Coach Andras. And without further ado, see you in the next one. Bye.
What's up, guys? Well, I guess that's considered a bounce back game. 96.9 accuracy. Pretty happy with that. Obviously, it's a lot easier when they play an opening that you're much more familiar with. So the previous game, I was experimenting with a new line. Here, I played Sicilian that I'm very familiar with. I've played against Sicilian a lot, and I was comfortable with this line. And then it's very tricky for black if you're not careful here with this d6 pawn. And my opponent allowed me to really just pressure that right away, and I knew I was in a great position from here. So this was a much easier game, primarily due to the opening preparation. Openings don't always win you games, but sometimes they really help. And I kind of felt like that's what happened here. And then I didn't have to find this knight c7 move. I think I'm still doing just fine if I take it, but this was actually just winning a piece for me. And so, yeah, pretty happy with this game. Unfortunate for my opponent, that he walked into so much preparation here. But I would say, yeah, this is a good game to bounce back after that tough first loss. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. I have 3 more games tomorrow, so it's going to be a long day. And yeah, I'll see you guys in round 3. Thanks.